Chapter 32, Making a Choice. With an aching stomach and a head spinning with thoughts, Sonny made his way back to the heart of the platform and sat down. After a few moments of silence, he called over to his shadow and instructed it calmly. "Alert me if anything unusual happens." With that, he closed his eyes and allowed his consciousness to sink into the comforting darkness of sleep. Rest finally came to him after days of relentless tension. But partway through the night, a sudden jolt pulled him from slumber. Sonny leapt up, heart racing, immediately fearing that the monstrous tentacled creature had returned, or perhaps something even worse from the deep had taken an interest in him. Yet the ocean remained still, its surface undisturbed. There was no sign of movement near the statue. "What's going on?" he asked quietly, glancing at his shadow. The shadow pointed silently in a specific direction. Turning to look, Sonny narrowed his eyes and quickly understood why the shadow had woken him. Without it, he might have missed. Far away in the darkness, several kilometers out, a tiny orange glimmer danced on the waves. It moved with the ocean's rhythm, flickering in and out of sight. He couldn't discern any details from such a distance. For a while, he just stared at it, lost in thought, until eventually the mysterious light vanished. Could be other sleepers, could be a trick of nature, or a lure set by something far worse. Images of horrifying deep-sea predators sprang to mind. Shaking off the chill that ran down his spine, Sonny lay back down, trying to drift off again. But sleep evaded him this time. Hunger was becoming more pressing, and thirst gnawed at him even more fiercely. So he lay there, eyes half open, watching the stars until the first light of dawn crept over the sea and pushed back the darkness. As morning arrived, the crab-like beasts emerged once again, scuttling from their hiding places toward the enormous carcass to continue their gruesome banquet. Sonny observed them for a bit before moving to the far edge of the platform. He peered in the direction where the light had flickered the night before. In the distance, perhaps 5 or 6 kilometers away, the terrain rose into a sort of natural hill. Atop this rise stood a towering coral structure, its top branches just high enough to remain visible above the water during high tide. Dozens of thoughts surged through Sonny's mind, but in the end, only 2 questions truly mattered. Could he navigate the maze and make it there before nightfall? And more importantly, should he even try? There was no guarantee that the light had come from something helpful. It might be something dangerous, lethal even. Unwilling to make a blind decision, Sonny settled down again to observe the feeding monsters. Meanwhile, he sent his shadow out into the maze, staying within range of his control, to try and map out a possible path toward the hill. Remaining on the statue seemed the safest choice. It was elevated and secure, but if he stayed too long, dehydration or starvation would eventually kill him. He could survive down below. He remembered techniques from teacher Julius's lessons that would let him purify seawater using dream realm materials. He might even be able to trap and kill one of the pincer monsters. One of them could provide enough food for weeks. He imagined a routine: hunt during the day, return to the safety of the statue at dusk. It seemed logical, but it lacked one crucial thing: hope. If he was fated to live the rest of his days within a small stretch of the labyrinth, endlessly fighting monsters for scraps and cowering at night, then death would be preferable. That left only one path forward. He had to try for the orange light. He'd make his move tomorrow. Today, he'd spend time scouting and mentally preparing. With that in mind, he closed his eyes and focused his senses through the shadow as it crept deeper into the maze. That night, a violent storm crashed into the sea. Sonny's shadow roused him just in time to prepare. The wind howled and rain poured down in torrents. Normally, storms soured his mood, but tonight, the downpour meant something more: drinkable water. Thirst overrode every other thought. Crouching low to avoid being tossed off the platform, Sonny cupped his hands, catching rain and gulping it down gratefully. Lightning lit up the sky. Anyone watching would have seen a wild grin spread across his face as he drank. The storm raged for hours. Sonny clung to the grooves in the stone surface, resisting the waves that crashed against the statue. By dawn, his entire body ached. There was no time to waste. As the monsters returned to the carcass, Sunny began his descent. He slipped over the platform's edge and began climbing down using footholds and ledges he had memorized earlier with his shadow's help. He silently thanked Teacher Julius for the rock climbing training. Finally, his feet hit solid ground. Danger surrounded him, but his spirit lifted. After days of stagnation, it felt good to take action. Even if he failed, he would fail moving forward on his own terms. The black sludge underfoot was thick, but not enough to slow him drastically. Walking quietly through it, he found that sticking to the shadows made his steps almost silent. He approached a passage that should lead toward the Coral Hill and entered the cool shade of the Crimson Maze. Immediately, it felt as if the outside world had vanished. Only the dark, twisting paths remained. Feels endless. He sent the shadow ahead again, scouting for threats and helping him pick the best route. Sometimes it climbed high to check different paths. Sunny had to double back once or twice, ending up at dead ends. Despite setbacks, things were going surprisingly well. He studied the maze as he moved, noting more of its bizarre architecture and the disturbing number of strange bones buried in the mud. Growing confident in his progress, Sunny let his guard down slightly. His shadow control had been perfect, his planning meticulous. That's why he didn't react fast enough when the mud ahead shifted. In an instant, a massive claw erupted from below, slicing through the air and aiming to split him in half with one devastating blow.